wake up earlier. I'm not. I want to be an early bird, and I'm a late bird.
You are a late bird. That's true.
So I do need help, like being an early.
Okay, stop fidgeting. Ollie got a call about a haunted house. Now, Ollie had dealt with some spooks and ghouls and other such things before, but the whole haunted house was kind of a new thing for him. Seriously, stop it. It's kind of a new thing for him. The house was up north of the city, up in a neighborhood called Stoneleigh. It was a big house. And it was an old house. And this family, young family, husband, a wife, 2 kids, dog, had just bought it because it's in a really good school district, moving up from being down in Mount Vernon. And they were really excited about the neighborhood and to be in this big, cool old house, and they'd gotten a really good deal. But when they started to move some stuff in, some weird stuff started happening. Now, they weren't in any rush, because they had about 3 months between when they closed on the new house up in Stoneleigh and when they were selling their old house down in Mount Vernon. Well, actually, they weren't selling that. They were renting down in Mount Vernon. They weren't like crazy rich. Mount Vernon's expensive. Anyway, point is, there's a 3-month overlap between the 2 places that they were living. And so they were just going to move some stuff up kind of slowly, just take their time with it, no reason to be rushed. And so the wife had moved some stuff up, and they decided, what if we sent the kids to the grandparents and did like an old school slumber party, just you and me, she said to her husband. Stayed up there in the house overnight without the kids. It'd be like camping, or be like staying in an Airbnb or something. And the husband said, sure, I like that idea, let's do that, it'd be fun. I'll call my mom today. So I set that up. Stop it. Listen, seriously, stop. So they went up there, they moved some stuff in. They borrowed his parents' pickup truck, loaded up a whole bunch of stuff in the pickup truck. The parents came and got the kids, took them back to their house, and they moved a bunch of, one pickup load's truck worth of stuff in. It was mostly basement stuff, and then they brought an inflatable mattress for them to sleep on, and they just started exploring the house and poking around. And they'd explored it a little bit during the touring and inspection process, but this was the first time really spending like hours and hours in the house. They'd brought a frozen pizza and some other food to eat for dinner, so they made that, and it seemed to go fine. They just walk around the house thinking about, who would have what bedroom and what furniture they might need to get, because they're moving from a smaller place into this bigger place. All of a sudden they heard this loud creak. And that wouldn't have been that remarkable if it wasn't for the fact that it was just the 2 of them in the house. My husband said, what was that? What was that? I heard it. Did you hear that? I said, yeah, I heard it. It's probably just nothing. We probably just left a door open somewhere and the wind blew it. He said, all right, I guess. That was weird, though. I said, oh, don't be a scaredy cat. It's just new house jitters. Every house makes noises. We're just not used to these noises yet. I said, all right, you're probably right. And so they explored around, they poked around the house some more, and they poked into the attic and things like that. And they were having just a good old time. They said, well, we should probably get the bed set up. So I set up the bed. We'll do that up. And the blower for the air mattress was kind of loud. There's a loud harsh noise. And then when they finally got it all blown up and they turned it off, they heard this woo. And husband said, okay, now I know you heard that. And that was not just a creaking noise. He said, yeah, no, I did hear that. You sure it wasn't just the fan? I said, no, I turned the fan off. That was, maybe it was going all around during the fan or something. Like harmonizing with the fan, like it heard the whirring of the fan and it made a noise too. I said, oh, what are you talking about? It. What is it? Oh, I shouldn't do that. Really hard to replace if it breaks. That's the roller part for the vacuum cleaner. Really fancy vacuum cleaner. It's alright. It's alright. It's not a big deal. Just said, oh dear, there's nothing and nobody in the house but us. It's just a new house making noises. I really need to stop fidgeting, Elsa. And, yeah, so they started to unpack some of the stuff that they brought in the garage, or to the basement. There were already a bunch of shelves there, kind of built in already. And so they started just unpacking stuff. And as they're unpacking, they heard this loud. They looked at each other and said, oh no, I heard that, you heard that, there wasn't anything else. That was something making a horrible howling noise. We need to get out of here. She said, all right, we'll just go home. It'll be fine, we'll still have a nice night. Just lock everything up, we'll figure it out in the morning. We'll come here into the daylight, figure it out in the morning. And so they left, locked everything up. And in the morning, the husband said, you know what, I heard about this private eye guy that does like paranormal stuff, and I want him to come out. I know it seems like I'm overreacting, but that was freaky. She said, all right, that's fine. We'll find out. So they called Ollie, and Ollie said, yeah, sure, I can come. I can come tonight. I said, all right. And so the husband was going to watch the kids while the wife met up with Ollie at the house. So she took him around and kind of showed him, where they had been hanging out. And I was looking around and said, was this window open before? She said, I don't know. We made sure we closed all the windows. I said, let's check down in the basement, make sure everything's where you left it. And then in the basement, some stuff was missing. I said, no, I'm sure we didn't have very much stuff that we brought in. And then, they took a saw and a power drill. We got broken into last night. Well, I said, huh, I'm really sorry that happened. You can go ahead and call the police, and we should file a police report, but I think I have an idea about what we might be able to do about this situation. Can you go get another load of stuff? Doesn't have to be a ton. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, I said, yeah, and maybe get some stuff that, looks valuable but isn't that useful, really. But I'm going to protect the stuff. I'm going to do a stakeout here tonight. But we need to look like we're moving stuff in. So you're going to try and bring whoever broke in back? I said, exactly. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go get some equipment of my own. I'm going to set up. I'll meet you back here in like 2 hours. She said, yeah, all right, I'm game, let's do this. So I went back to his house and he had several cameras, webcams. And he got there ahead of her. He made a big show of unloading all this electronics equipment. And then he, very quietly though, set up all the cameras. And microphones too. And in a quiet corner, he set up his laptop so he could watch them all. And then when she got there a little while later, she brought along a neighbor to help her move some stuff in. They made a big show of moving a bunch of stuff in. It wasn't the truck. They didn't have the truck again, but it was like a minivan loaded with stuff. I said, all right, now we're going to hang out here for a little bit. And then after it's nightfall, so they can't quite tell who left, the two of you can go, and I'm going to do a stakeout here tonight. I said, are you sure? I said, I'm sure. While they were talking about it, they heard this loud out. I said, that was the same kind of a thing that we heard last night. I said, yeah, okay, yeah, that was creepy. That was definitely creepy. My friend said, honey, did you buy a haunted house? You poor thing. I mean, I don't really want to hang out in a haunted house, though. Is it all right if I go? I said, well, if you can stand to stay a little bit longer, I want you to leave after nightfall so that if anyone's watching the house, they can't see how many people left. In fact, I want them to think that all of us left. So you're going to take my car. And you're going to think this is crazy, but I have this. And Ollie pulled out this like inflatable toy. She said, no, that isn't. I said, it is. It's an inflatable octopus. We're going to blow this up. One of you is going to carry that out to my car. You can just drive it back to your house. I'll get back my own way later. She said, this is nuts, but all right. So they hung out a little bit longer, just kind of chatting. And I said, well, why don't you tell me about what your plans are for the house? I just want to make everything look normal, and you can just, in your own head, pretend like you're just totally happy with the house again and everything's fine. I said, all right, I can do that. So she started telling Ollie about their plans, what they wanted to do to the house, and they heard a loud creak. So, that happened last night too. I said, all right, that's good. Then they went around and messed around in the basement stuff again. Waited for a little bit longer. I said, well, it's gotten nighttime, so I guess we can go. I said, hold on. If we can get one more scary noise, then whatever it is will think it scared us off. Just like last night. If we can hang around for one more scary noise, it'll be even more effective. Let's go ahead and blow up the octopus doll, though. So they blew up the octopus doll, and it was not a perfect likeness of Ollie, but, you know, it looked like an octopus, and it was about the same size as Ollie. Yeah, it was blue. And they waited a little bit longer. Ollie had brought they just sort of watched some television shows on Ollie's laptop, just some, old comedies or whatever. And then they heard this loud, this time high-pitched, kind of a scream. Ah! It sounded like it's coming from upstairs. And they all jumped when that happened. I said, all right, let's go time. And Ollie put the laptop in this closet on the main floor. They turned off the lights. And the friend picked up the octopus doll and took that into Ollie's car. And the wife of the family, she got into her car, they locked up the door and left. And Ollie snuck into that closet and closed the door behind him. Actually, he left it open a little bit just so he could see a little bit. All very quietly. And he started watching the cameras. And he waited a while, trying to see something. Ghost or burglar. He didn't know what it was going to be. And it was a while later. Maybe like 2 hours later. About 11:30 or so. I saw some movement. Saw somebody at the back door. And they had a key. They opened up the back door. A couple minutes later, another person came. I could hear them talking because he wasn't that far from the back door in this closet. couldn't really hear what they were saying, but he could hear that they were talking. And they came sort of closer to where Ollie was, and he was trying to be very quiet. He said, yeah, I think they moved a bunch of stuff upstairs, so we should check up there today. The stuff we got last night was fine, but, you know, it was just some tools. I mean, I can use the tools, but I think they moved some better stuff in. I saw them moving some, like, cameras and computer stuff in, so it's got to be here somewhere. And the brother said, all right, yeah. Did you like my scream? I said, yeah, I did like the scream. I don't know how you got your voice that high. That was a good creepy scream, though. Yeah. I used to do theater in high school. They went up the stairs past the closet where I was, and they didn't notice him, luckily. So I left the cameras on and recording. He quietly slipped out and followed them. They were being careful not to turn on any lights. They were using flashlights. They found the room. They'd moved some stuff in, and it was some actual legitimate stuff. It was like an electric guitar, and a jewelry box. Now, it didn't have any real jewelry inside. I said, oh, here we go. Now we got some good stuff. This electric guitar, I can get like, what's a Fender? Yeah, I can get like $500 for this probably. That's great. And, ooh, and a jewelry box. That's the good stuff. He started to pick it up, and Ollie, in the meanwhile, had snuck into the same room and was hiding back behind the door in the corner. He decided to give them a fright right before they reached over to pick the stuff up. Ollie let out a loud, "Who's in my house?" And Will stood up and said, what was that? Was that you? I said, no, it wasn't me, man. I was right here. Was that you? I said, no, it wasn't me. And no, I didn't tell you about it yet, but he'd set up this remote control kind of a toy. It was meant to be like one of those little robot dogs, but he'd modified it so it would just shake and rattle as loudly as possible, and he'd put it up inside the air conditioning duct. So he triggered that, and there's this big, freaky sounding rattle on. I said, what on earth is that? Nobody else is here. We know nobody else is here. Those people scampered. What is that? I said, dude, I don't know. We got to get out of here, man. We got to get out of here. We were pretending, but this place might really be haunted, man. You know, the people who used to live here, they were weird. What if they did some weird, like, occult stuff? I don't want to get... No, we got to go, man. This is freaky. So they started to scamper out of there as quickly as they could. But I was waiting for them. And he snuck down back another way, because he knew they would go back to the back door. When they got out to the back door, which was like in a patio, he slammed the patio door shut. Slam. And the other guy said, oh no, we're doomed, we're trapped. And I turned on the light and said, you are trapped. The police will be here in about 3 minutes, and you're going to stay right there until they do. The other guy was a little bit quicker on his feet. He said, I'm not staying anywhere I don't want to stay. And he rushed at Ollie. But Ollie's a pretty clever octopus. So he jumped out of the way, but then pulled down on the guy's arm. As he jumped out of the way, and the guy went slamming down into the ground. The little guy said, hey, you don't get to do that to my friend. And he rushed him too. The little guy, though, Ollie just leapt up, and the guy got a face full of octopus. I said, ah! And he fell to the ground, too. Ollie brought along some zip ties. Luckily, he had enough. He zipped both of their hands behind their back. I said, what is this? What's going on here? Who are you? Why are you in this house? Why are you in my house? I said, your house? I said, yeah, this is my house, dang it. I grew up in this house. They had no right to sell it. Should have given it to me. So I was trying to scare these people off and take their stuff. Get the house condemned. It's going to be mine. This is supposed to be my house. And I said, that's just not how it works, man. I don't know what your deal is, but you can explain it to the police. A few minutes later, the police arrived, and the guys were handcuffed. And of course, Ollie had the whole thing recorded. So they took him off to jail, and they called up the lady and said, "Hey, sorry it's late, but this got your ghosts. Just two local guys that thought they deserved the house instead of you, trying to scare you off, take your stuff. Please have them. So I think you and your husband can maybe plan another nice night here, and I bet you won't get any more ghosts." She said, "Oh, Ollie, thank you so much. I really appreciate those two guys, and you got them both." I said, "Yep, it's all sorted. But thank you, Ollie." That was the case of Ollie and the haunted house.